Hi, friends. This is Caitlin. I'm so happy to be here with you with Pink and Main. Hopefully, this is all working. We'll give it a second just so I can see the chat update. I saw lots of people in super early, chit-chatting it up. Um, let's see. I see Jackie Ann, Karen, Melissa's checking in, Gail, Mom. Let's see, Connie, Lisa, but she's dipping out for a class, it looks like. Susan, Michelle, Linda, Maria's checking in. I think that's everybody. Brennan, um, Lori's here. Linnea's here. Linnea, I don't know. Leslie's checking in. Barb. It is sneak peek week. We officially made it to February sneak peek week. I'm very excited. Um, so I'm gonna have what we're gonna do like a watercolor stamp situation, and I'm gonna show you guys all of the foil and foilable sneak peeks tonight, and we'll do a little foiling while we're waiting for our watercolor to dry. And then tomorrow, Demo Donna is going to be on, and she's going to show a really exciting die set with you. And then I will be back on Thursday, and I will be also sharing dies, but something different. And yeah, something really cute. And then, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was looking at the comments. And then Libby is going to be live on Friday on launch day, and she'll be doing all kinds of fun stuff. So, very excited. We made it to sneak peek week. I saw Raquel jumped into. Perfect. All right, let me go ahead. There we go. Okay. Why does it look so crooked? There we go. All right, so I wanted to, this is a very different stamp set for me. It's not something I would normally be drawn to, but I just caught a good feeling off of it. And so I wanted to share it with you tonight. This is what we're going to be watercoloring. This is called Houseplant, and it looks like this. It doesn't have a coordinating die set because it is big. She's a big stamp, right? She's the size of my hand. But it's just this beautiful, like ferny houseplant. And I really like it. I like the little braided basket. I like the range of sentiments that are in it. I think we're probably going to go with like You're Always on My Mind or something like that. But just so cute. Um, so yeah, we have that. And then one sneak peek I'll show you now before we get into the other ones. It's also available in a foilable. So we're going to watercolor, and then while we're going to like speed dry it, but while it finishes drying, we'll ink blend and foil one up as well. So a little houseplant. I still have more foilables and foil to show you here in a little bit, but I figured we would at least start with that. Um, let's see, I see Jody jumping in, Peggy. Hi, Peggy. Yeah, I really like this stamp. Like, it's just so different. So I thought we would watercolor. I have my Pink and Main watercolor paper, and I want to heat emboss with clear, so it's a little easier to watercolor. It'll make kind of walls, but you can see, like, this is a full A2 card front size. And we'll trim it down, so I'm not super worried about it like not going corner to corner just because of how I have it laid out in my Misty. Leslie, this one does not have a stencil, a coordinating stencil. I'm just gonna rough this up a little bit. Barbara. Barbara jumped into my impromptu live last night over on my channel. Anybody else who was there, thank you for that. Okay, we're gonna stamp this in black. You know what I need to do first though is cup it with some anti-static so that we can go directly in with our embossing ink next. I am still going to do embossing ink over my black ink. Thanks, Peggy. Yeah, I think this is a good one. Oh, and I see Cindy jumped in, and my dad's here. Oh, Peggy said she caught the replay. Thank you so much. And I'm also okay with this not being super dark, this impression, because I think with the watercolor, like it being a little softer would be really pretty. Yeah, I kind of like that, the way it is. Let's add just a little spray of water. Get a little bit of this ink off. And this is a fun one because it has some texture already built into it. I am, oh, don't take that off yet. I need to emboss. I am using the smooth side of the cardstock, not the rough side. And now I'm going to go in. I just touched that. Let's go with just a little bit more anti-static powder so that any oil from my hand doesn't affect how that sticks. I'm going to go in with that embossing powder now. And the reason I'm embossing is in watercolor, normally you have to wait for different sections to dry because if you're using watercolor in two places right next to each other, they tend to bleed or mesh, and we don't want that. But having the embossing powder down means it'll create like little wells so that I can work on two sections next to each other without them bleeding into each other. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. It just gives us a little bit of a cushion. That looks pretty good. This is just the clear embossing powder. Funnel that right back in. This is just printer paper I'm using. Hey, Sherry. This big stamp off of here. And we'll figure out the sentiment, like our sentiment slash banner or whatever we're going to do at the end. All right, let's get my food gun out. And we'll melt this powder. Okay. Hey, Kathleen. All right, so we could see, I think, as that was going, that that powder was melting really nice. But you can see that beautiful high shine that lets me know that everything melted that was supposed to melt. All right, for the inks, I'm going to borrow from my Distress ink collection because Pink and Main, we only have, very limited green options. I think I want to go for a little more of like an olivey undertone. So I'm thinking forest moss, peeled paint, maybe like a little brown, maybe a little twisted citron. And then let me grab a brown. Actually, you know what? Let's do some mustard. Yeah. We'll just, as a background. Hey, Jana. Okay, and we're just going to use my glass mat as my palette for today. Let's make sure I don't have any embossing powder, any dust and stuff on here. There we go. For anyone jumping in, this is a new giant stamp that we have called Houseplant. It's very fun. I'm going to mist my paper with a little bit of water and spray a little extra water into my well. And I'm going to grab my Pink and Main watercolor brush. And I'm just going to start dropping in some of the Twisted Citron color into some of these little wells. do one kind of leaf at a time. I'm going to mist that a little bit more and bring in some of this peeled paint, a little bit darker green. And just remember, I am not a watercolorist at all in any way. So just if I can do this, however it turns out, you can do this. Anybody can do this. So I'm just kind of dotting in that peeled paint right up against the stem and then just kind of wiggling it or zhuzhing it around. And I think these kind of plants are a fun one to have for this kind of technique because in my experience, they do have a lot of texture and little dots and things. And I know I have a cousin who is a crazy plant lady. So even my mom loves her plants. So I feel like this is also a very nice, like gender and age and occasion neutral stamp to have. We're going to go in now with that forest moss. And that one I'm really going to try to keep right against that stem. And the more water you have on your paper, the more your colors are going to move. So if you want a little more control, you don't have to be spraying them down in between each layer. Picking back up some of that peeled paint, kind of medium shade. Trying to get some variation, get that kind of moving around. And you can see how the wells kind of help just keep everything a little bit separated. I don't need to clean in between. I just want to be able to add even more ink. And, oh no. Well, okay. My plastic touched that and then spread all of that out. So that's okay. We'll make it work. I kind of like watercolory edges to things anyway, so we can play with that. We can use that to our advantage. A clean edge is I forget the word I was going to say. Christmas, citron, peeled peach. Karen said that Tim Holtz watercolor crayons or watercolor pencils are good for that too. I agree. I have them. I have some of them, but I definitely don't play with them as much as I should slash could. Okay. Go in with some peel paint on, sorry, with forest moss on the stems. This is about the level of watercolor I feel good about. Very abstract. Hey, Donna. Just kind of gliding. I carried my Twisted Citron all the way to the edges, that lightest shade. Now my medium, I'm kind of running along the inside and maybe like pushing it out like a third of the way. And if it wants to travel more, it can, but it doesn't need my help for that. And then that darkest, I'm just going to run right along the stem. This one's kind of tucked under. It's fun, right? Kathleen, it is. I don't have water loaded into it. I prefer to pick up like water from the side or add water to my inks versus having it in my brush. But Pinkamene does have a set of all of these different water brushes that have the pink. That's how you know. So if you wanted to load them with water, it just twists off. You fill this with water, you get the little easy push part, and the water will come out of the pen. As I'm learning to watercolor, I just find I prefer having a little bit more control um, with picking up the water versus trying to squeeze. Definitely less messy to use the squeeze though. So this is a little bit repetitive. Going in with the Twisted Citron and then the peel paint. I'm not positive how I'm gonna handle the in-between to kind of keep this watercolory edge going. Oh, the like these little labels are from, I think Ranger has them as like a free download, and I just downloaded them and then printed them onto sticker paper, and I just hand cut them. So that way when they're in my little bead case, they're all labeled. But I'm pretty sure that they're, I think Ranger has them on their website for free. Libby and I got to talk a little bit today about our plans for Paper Ganza. We're going to be teaching a class there in Kansas City in July. It's going to be very fun. It's going to be the first time me and Libby will be together in the same place. We were supposed to get to meet last year at Simon Says Create, and then some plans changed, but I'm very excited. All right, for this in between part, I think I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I just sprayed that open space with water, and then some twisted citron and some forest moss. And then I'm going to take a clean-ish section of my um, microfiber and just kind of tap the center part so that it doesn't keep spreading. Oh, yay, Peggy, that's awesome. I'm excited. I think it's going to be really fun. I really want to I really want to do more of these like in-person classes and meetups and things. It's fun. Okay, we're just going to keep repeating this. Spray the paper a little bit. But like especially attention wise, this is very doable for me. I don't have to be super exact, right? Even I love coloring, you guys know that, but sometimes some of the images are really detailed, or I'm like really trying to be very careful. And I just feel like this is a little more freeing, a little more loosey-goosey in my coloring. Just kind of taking whatever ink is left on my brush, kind of dragging that around just to start breaking up some of that white space. You know the drill. Go in with some peel paint. And by adding a little bit of water to my glass mat, when I pick up that color, it's already going to be going on softer. So if you want it to be more distinct where you're putting it, you're going to want to make sure that you aren't spraying as much water on your paper and you're not watering down your ink or not watering it down as much, maybe as I am. And that'll help it to stay where you're putting it. The more water on your paper or the more concentrated your ink. Sorry, the other way around. The more water on your paper or the less concentrated your ink is, the more movement and like flow you're going to get. Okay, I like never use this color and it already feels really dry. I don't have many reinkers for my Distress inks. going in with this like especially deep up here because that one leaf is overlapping another. And if I want things to move around a little extra, I can always spray a little more water. Okay, and then we go in on all these edges again. Blotting will just kind of help make sure we don't get a lot of harsh lines. I'm just making this up as I go, in case that was. I'm sure that's not a surprise. You guys know me by now. All right, I am going to come back in with more of that forest moss on this little edge that I didn't really spray, or definitely didn't spray as much, so we get a more concentrated dose of color through those stems. Beautiful. And I didn't bring in any of the rusty hinge or the mustard that I grabbed. I feel like the forest moss gave me enough of that brown variation, but I think I will use the rusty hinge for this little basket at the bottom, the little pot, woven pot it's in. Just to tan it up a little bit. It's really like orangey. Let's grab one more brown. Just a little variation. And more at the bottom and on this left hand side. We got a little brown blur into those edges too. Why not? Okay, so that is our really fun little watercolor piece. Okay, and I'm gonna set that aside and give it a little time to dry or start to dry down. We'll probably end up hitting it with our heat tool as well, um, but we'll give it a little chance to keep moving and pulling color because we have a foilable to play with as well. So for our surprise foil, our new foil, you can see it there. We have the Streaks Green coming. Nina, these are both like bead cases from like Michael's or Joann's. They're the kind that have like the little inserts. Um, and this one had a bunch more inserts. I just took them out and I only have the half. Um, but you can just get them at like any craft store. Should have options like that for you. But I just find that it's really easy to keep them in the general order that they go in. But yeah, so for our foils, we had Satin Coral. That came out with the subscription. This was part of the foil of the month, Satin Coral. And then Green Streaks Green is this one that has the really fun holographic um, streaks through it. And it's like a beautiful lime green. So I thought that would be a fun one to do a little ink blend and then foil. You can ink blend your foilables. You just want to make sure you're always ink blending before you foil. So since we have this little matching foilable panel, also called houseplant, and the same thing, I should have left all that out. I think I want to do something a little more abstract because we don't have the stencils, right? We'll bring in a little more yellow because with this one we have that fun holographic paper foil. That's the word I want. A holographic foil. So I'm going to grab my little, these were from the advent calendar last year, but any small little detail blending brushes you have would work. And I'm going to go in with my squeeze lemonade first. And I'm also going to grab myself a full stick post-it note and I'm going to hold the sticky end against my fingers so that way I don't leave fingerprints all over my panel. And I'm going to start, you don't have to use a detail brush, you could use a bigger brush. I am going to be, you know, a little messy, a little outside the lines, but I'd still like some kind of control over how far out of the lines I'm working. We're kind of making like a halo. It'll give that same kind of effect from our watercolor where like right in the center there is still going to be white. I'm not sure that these are available on the website, these small brushes. So I will tell you that I have some similar ones from Pink Fresh Studios, and they're really nice too. So if these aren't available from Pink and Neat, that's a good other place to look. You know, small card businesses supporting small card businesses. I guess stamp, card making, supplies, crafty, one of those, all of those. And adding this ink will not affect how the foilable panel takes the foil. So you don't have to be worried about that. So squeeze lemonade. Oh, Libby, no worries. We are waiting for our watercolor panel to dry. So we figured we would ink up our foilable panel and play with the green streaks foil. So we'll do houseplant 2 ways. So this is that twisted citron again that we used with our watercolor. And this one I'm not going out of the lines. I'm leaving the very edges pretty plain where that yellow was. So we start to get a little bit more of that ombre look. Because remember, I just thought, dabbed the wrong thing, that having some lighter, brighter greens for this one would be really nice with our foil. Now I'm going in with that forest moss, and that's really going to be right through the center or the base of the leaf. I know earlier we talked about that tomorrow Donna is going to be sharing a fun die set. I'm not kidding when I tell you guys you're going to want to see that set. It's going to be really good. We'll also be working with it next week, you and me, but you're going to want to check out what Donna's going to share. All right. I really like how that's turning out. I will say I still want something a little more true, like a brown for these. I guess it doesn't need to be brown. All right, I'm going to bring in one more little thing. This is one of those pink fresh ones. It's even smaller, so you can see the size difference from my pink and Maine Advent brush and that one. Let's stick with the green. It's not a tree, right? I think these stems are usually pretty green. And even with this being smaller, it's not 100% going to stay in the lines. That's okay. I'm kind of tapping the color in on one of the edges. And I feel like it's been a while since we've talked about how when you're picking up product, you usually want to pick it up in the same way you're going to apply it. So tapping or like swiping if you can. If you're going to swipe it or press it into your paper is better. If you're going to buff it onto your paper, buffing it onto your brush is better. That's true for pretty much any medium that you're going to be working with. It's definitely true of makeup. That's where I learned it. All right, let's go Rusty Hinge one more time. I think we can get away with just Rusty Hinge for this one. For our little basket down here. I love this foilable, the paper that it's on, because if you go out of the lines and something seems harsh, if you just keep circling over, you can really buff it out super smooth. Um, oh, Libby, I said how you plan on applying your ink or your eyeshadow or your paint, um, is how you're going to apply it is how you should pick it up from whatever it's on, right? So if you're going to buff in little circles your ink, you should buff the product onto your brush from the ink pad. And if you're going to tap, then you should tap. I don't exactly know why. I'm assuming it has to do with like how you're loading the bristles or loading the sponge or whatever versus unloading. But it's a tip we learned in makeup, right? If you're doing eyeshadow and you're blending with like sweeping color, you should pick it up from the palette blending. And if you're packing it on, you should pack it on to your brush. And I've just found that it has worked for every medium I've ever used in art and in makeup. So that's my fun, fun random tip of the day. Just rewind. You're good. Okay, let's turn on our mink and have a little carrier sheet. Let's trim down some foil. And then I'll show you guys some more new foilables that you can probably already see a little bit to the side over here. And that satin coral foil we looked at before from the subscription is so pretty. All right, let me get my dusting brush. Make sure the back of my foil and the front of my foilable are dust and lint free. We're going to place pretty sides down just so that I can be sure that this is lined up how I want it. As soon as that turns green, we'll be good to go. So in the meantime, I will show you hearts and clovers, new foilables. So you get the positive and the reverse image just in time for Valentine's Day. Love that. And our mink is ready. Whoa, hello. Um, Cynthia, I love that. Yeah, my cousin is crazy about her plants. So I feel like there's definitely, like, this would work for anyone, but there's also very clearly people in our lives that like this stamp set was made for, it feels like. All right, we're going to let that cool down. Let my mink cool down. And I will show you another St. Patrick's Day fun thing. This is called Fancy Clovers. And I feel like this is a good one for like to see out of the package. There we go. So you get a 3-leaf and a 4-leaf clover. I These would be really fun ink blended over too. And these are the kind of shape that I would be willing to fussy cut. I could be convinced. So you can leave them as a whole panel, or these would be pretty easy to trim out if you wanted to. And they have the little florals and the hearts. Very cute. Those are fancy loafers. All right, let's do our peel. We always want to peel from a cooled panel. It's upside down. Oh, that's so fun. Oh, I love that so much. So I was reading Libby. Libby said for her fancy clover, she foiled it in green and then added pink flocking to the hearts. That sounds amazing. Love that. But yeah, this is like just so different and still like very soft. It looks a lot softer with the green versus the black outline, but that's just so fun. And then you, of course, have the reverse image that you could use on like the black foilable or foil panels. Um, and that would be really cool too. Let's check on our watercolor panel. It's pretty close. Let me see if I can hit it with the heat gun and get it finished, just so we can compare the two. Okay, I don't want to go over this too much because it will reactivate the embossing powder. So I try to keep my heat tool like a little raised, but you can still see it's still shiny. But that is our really fun watercolor panel. And you can see it compared to our foiled panel. Both very pretty. I do want to try to finish up this card, like make this into a card, I guess I should say. So let's trim a little of this side. We're just going to take it to 4 by 5 1/4. And I think we need a panel of limestone. And this should be 5. That's 6. Interesting. Don't know how I ended up with that. 4 1/4, 5 1/2. So we're just going to get a little skinny panel, a skinny mat of our round stone. See, Libby says she made a card where she fussy cut out the whole plant. It would be my nightmare. You are correct. That sounds like torture, and I don't understand why you would do that to yourself. Would not be me. Could not be me. All right. I think this is dry now. Um, Here's Sure, it's not. There you go. Libby said she's going to be showing all of the cards she made on her live on Friday at noon Eastern. Okay, so that's that. And then we need our sentiment. I think that you're always on my mind. Although that definitely is giving me, as I'm saying that, some practical magic. Like, is that Elvis? His songs. Who sings that real song? I think I want to use up this scrap of brownstone for my sentiment, but I think I want to go black. I don't think I want, um, I don't think I want white. My ink pad needs to be renamed. So we're going to bring in friend really quick. Just because I'm attempting to hand stamp this, I can't go in for a second layer. If my dad is still watching, he'll know exactly. Oh, it's Willie Nelson. You are always on my mind. I love that. And we'll just trim that down. My mom too. My mom loves that. That was not the most, the straightest, I guess I should say, swipe ever. Some get creative. Let's see this better. See, Leslie said Elvis, and you know, I make that up out of nowhere. Thank you guys. Yeah, I think low. I think just that little strip. I probably like the Willie Nelson version better. I'm gonna bring in a little T-square. And nobody needs to point out that it's still not a card because it's not on a card base. I know. It's a card front. I know. And you could definitely add, oh, you know what I want to add? I know exactly what I want to add. Oh, I want gold, little gold, or even like a little, those might be good. I'm not sure the gold that I have is undertone that I really want. I don't have an embossed dot enamel dot problem. You do. That one's perfect with that. I think these are a fall enamel dot pack. Of course, I don't have them in the sleeve, but these little dots are going to be perfect. Because a sequin feels like too much for this. But these little, see how they're like brown, but the glitter in them is green? Love those. There you go. Just a little baby hint of a sparkle right around the sentiment. You're always on my mind. So pretty, so soft, so different than my usual style, but also you could go foiled and ink blended if you want. Oh, I like that. Libby said it would also make a great housewarming card. I do love that. But also like a thinking of you, a get well. Um, Very cute. And I do have two last foilable things to share before we check out. So if you've made it this far, I appreciate you for that. So these are the fun planters, which you may remember from the beginning of the month. And these are in a positive and a reverse. So if you loved our fun planter sets from our stamp set, chances are you're going to love these. So cute. Gwen, that's very cute too. Bloom where you're planted, like encouragement. I love that. And then the last thing is a big guy. This is the Spring Leaves foilable sheets. So this is 8 sheets, 8 different patterns. And these are the big ones. These are the 8.5 by 5.5. Yeah. So we have this really like a dainty frilly leaf. We have these very bold leaves and the reverse, right? The positive and the reverse. I love this style, this pattern. I don't know what that's called. We get that in a positive and a reverse, and I love this. It's a very IKEA. I know that's not the adjective I should probably be using, but that's what it reminds me of. We also have that same first leaf in the reverse. Oh, and Libby's reminding me these were part of the foil of the month. So they're new as in that you can get them by themselves. So if you didn't get the monthly subscription, you can now get them on their own. And then you get the positive and reverse of this guy, which is smaller, the same similar shapes. But you can see it's way smaller of a graphic. So yeah, these are very fun. Are these like Scandinavian? I don't know. I don't know how that works. I should research that more. But they feel, like I said, they feel very IKEA. Yeah, I'm hoping, I haven't heard from Virginia. Maybe I'll message her after this. I have not heard from her. I'm hoping that that just means they're still, moving and it's all good things, but I will try to reach out to her to see if I can get like at least like a thumbs up for Thursday, so let you guys know that she's doing okay. But yeah, that is everything for tonight. Like we said before, Donna will be live tomorrow with a really fun, amazing die set. So you're going to want to come check that out tomorrow at 8, I believe. Libby, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We had talked about maybe moving it. I could be wrong. I forgot to look at the times on the thing you posted. But definitely tomorrow. And then I'll be back at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday with some other die sets. Very cute. And then Libby will be live at noon on Friday, which is also when the hop starts. So make sure that you come hang out with her on Friday. And yeah, we have a very busy launch week, but I'm very excited. I hope you guys enjoyed the sneak peeks. Um, Thank you for coming to hang out with us. I will see you guys back here Thursday. I'll be popping into Donna's live tomorrow to see what she ends up doing with that die set at 8. Perfect. So Donna is tomorrow at 8 Eastern for sure. Libby confirmed. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I will see you back here soon. And until next time, happy crafting. Have a good night.